Well, hi, everybody. Gary Sinclair with you. Hope you had a great holiday weekend. My hunch is that if I mention certain names, most of you will know them as not just a generic moniker used by many people, but as having some significance and or importance. Here are a few: Gates, Trump, Tebow, Beyonce, Underwood, Gretzky, Pelosi, Putin, Eastwood, and Shaq. And whether we think positively or negatively about these and others, their names are powerful and influential, no doubt about that. They may or may not have earned their status, but their surname, and sometimes even just their first name, can take on incredible awareness and notoriety, right? Oprah, J-Lo, and Usher come to mind. Brand names can also have the same impact, at least in people's minds. McDonald's, Apple, Google, Buc-ee's, really, Amazon, Honda, Pixar, Chick-fil-A, to name a few. I would guess, however, that many of us know people whose name isn't known world, country, or statewide, but still gets us in a door somewhere, right? I've talked here about our son Tim's stadium announcer role with the Chicago Bulls and the Bears and the Fire. And if I want to get into the United Center for a game and I mention my name, Gary Sinclair, they might say, no way. I could argue, hey, Sinclair was a very respected name in gasoline for decades. There are even stations still around in certain parts of the country. I'm pretty sure I'd get the same response. But if I mention that Tim Sinclair is my son, I'm going to have a much better chance. You see, names can matter. So what's the lesson here? Well, cozy up to a lot of influential people? No, not really. If we know people who are kind enough to share their advantage with us now and then we got to go for it. Be thankful and enjoy the ride. However, there are two other names that matter a bit more. Our name and God's names. And in this vlog, I want to focus on our name, and then I'll talk more about God's names in my next post. And I'm not talking about the actual words, though those can be awesome, maybe sometimes embarrassing, odd, changed, family significant, descriptive, and more. But no, I'm talking about what people think of when they think of us. What do they make of our character, our reputation, personality, actions towards others, attitudes, etc.? Our name in this context doesn't come with us when we get our birth certificate. There's no other line where our parents or medical personnel fill in, a character name. It's a gradually developing quality over time that people will begin to associate with us because of how we've lived our life. No one does it perfectly, but it can become a validation of who we are, and people can begin to think of us in ways that strengthen our name over time. Unfortunately, it's fragile too. There are various versions of this maxim, but it usually goes something like this. It takes a lifetime to build a reputation, but it may only take minutes to ruin it. So there's not much to say other than if we want our name to be remembered, impacting, influential in helping others, and powerful in our home, neighborhood, community, church, life in general, then we've got to at least stay focused on living life at as high moral, social, intellectual, and spiritual level as we can. Proverbs 22:1 says, "A good name is to be chosen rather than great riches, and favor is better than silver or gold." Or Ecclesiastes 7:1 says, "A good name is better than precious ointment." Okay, so you're not that excited about precious ointment unless it's a La Creme at $13,000 for 50 milliliters. How does he know that, you ask? Isn't it obvious? Precious ointment, however, 1,000 years before Christ was very expensive and used for everything from anointing people for service to getting the best in beauty treatments and more. So a good name is valued above whatever money could buy, wisdom says. And maybe you came from a difficult background where your family name was associated more with negative connotations than positive ones. Or maybe you've spent a lot of your life trying to get beyond your family's name's history. Or like many, you just haven't felt like you're worth that much, so yeah, what does my name matter? Well, if you're a child of God, then it's His name that you take, not yours. But if our name suddenly was valued way higher than it is today, we'd also do what we can to keep it that way, right? You see, and as Proverbs 22 showed us a minute ago, we need to choose to keep our name, our reputation, and our future legacy as positive, godly, and influential as we can. See, that's the main reason we're here. To, yes, be God's representative, to be someone who's like Jesus, to show people that there are names far more powerful and meaningful than the famous ones most people applaud. See, it's usually not appreciated when someone calls us a name, right? Remember when you were a kid? But actually, there's a positive side to name calling if other people's natural tendency and response is to think good things when they hear our name. That's not based on how we look or our precious ointment. It doesn't mean, again, that we're perfect. It's based on how we generally live. So live your good name today. And next time, I'll talk about some of the names of God. They're pretty amazing. Talk to you next time. Thanks for listening.